My name is Emily, and I have always had a fascination with dolls, their delicate features and enchanting presence captivated my imagination. But my curiosity would lead me to the most haunting experience of my life when I stumbled upon the mysterious Dollmaker'S workshop. Located on the outskirts of town, the workshop was an old, dilapidated building that seemed frozen in time. Its windows were barred, and the roof sagged under the weight of age. Locals spoke of the enigmatic dollmaker, who had lived there generations ago, a reclusive figure who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of eerie dolls with a sinister reputation. The town's children dared one another to venture near the workshop, telling chilling tales of dolls that came to life at night, their porcelain eyes watching and waiting for unsuspecting victims. One day, overcome by a mix of fascination and fear, I decided to explore the abandoned workshop. The air was thick with dust as I pushed open the creaking door, and the room was filled with the scent of old wood and memories long forgotten. As I stepped inside, I was greeted by a surreal sight, a myriad of dolls in various stages of completion lined the shelves. Their glassy eyes seemed to follow me, and I couldn't help but feel like an intruder in this unsettling sanctuary. Curiosity got the better of me, and I began to examine the dolls. Each one was exquisitely crafted, with intricate details and a haunting aura. Some wore delicate smiles, while others seemed to convey an air of sadness and despair. Suddenly, I noticed a doll, unlike the others, a life-size creation sitting at the work table. Its eyes were covered by a piece of cloth, as if the doll maker had been interrupted before completing it. Feeling a mix of apprehension and fascination, I reached out to remove the cloth, but before my fingers could touch it, the door slammed shut with a resounding thud. My heart raced, and I turned to find myself trapped in the workshop. Fear washed over me as I tried to pry the door open, but it seemed to be sealed shut. As if by an unseen force, panic set in, and I called out for help. But my pleas were met with a haunting silence. As night fell, the workshop seemed to come alive with an eerie energy. Shadows danced along the walls, and a cold breeze swept through the room, chilling me to the bone. Then I heard a faint, haunting melody that seemed to echo from all directions. It was a lullaby, a sorrowful tune that filled the room with an air of melancholy. I followed the haunting melody to a hidden corner of the workshop, where I found an old music box. The lullaby grew louder, its haunting notes filling my ears. As I approached the music box, the dolls on the shelves seemed to stir, their glassy eyes gleaming in the dim light. I felt their gaze upon me, and an overwhelming sense of dread washed over me. With trembling hands, I opened the music box, and the haunting melody grew louder still. Inside, I found an old, yellow photograph, a picture of the doll maker and a child with eyes as haunting as the dolls themselves. Suddenly, the workshop was filled with a flurry of movement. The dolls around me seemed to come to life, their porcelain bodies moving with a life of their own. I watched in horror as they turned their heads, their eyes fixed on me with an intensity that sent chills down my spine. In a moment of terror, I realized the chilling truth: the dolls were not mere creations of the doll maker's artistry. They were vessels for the souls of the lost children, trapped in a haunting limbo between life and death. As the dolls moved closer, I could hear their voices, a chorus of whispers and cries that filled the room. They pleaded for release, for salvation from the curse that bound them to the workshop. Desperation consumed me, and I knew I had to find a way to break the curse and free the tormented souls. Drawing strength from the haunting lullaby, I closed my eyes and recited an ancient incantation, a prayer for the lost and the forgotten. With each word, the workshop seemed to vibrate with an unseen energy, and the doll's movements slowed. Suddenly, the music box stopped playing, and the dolls froze in place. The room fell silent, and I could feel a presence ancient and malevolent lurking in the shadows. With a final burst of courage, I called out to the doll maker, pleading for his forgiveness and mercy. The air seemed to thicken with his presence, and I felt a chilling touch on my shoulder. "I have waited for so long," a haunting voice whispered in my ear, sending shivers down my spine. "Release them, and the curse shall be lifted." With trembling hands, I placed the photograph back into the music box and closed it, the haunting lullaby fading into silence. As I did, the dolls' expressions softened, their glassy eyes dimming. They seemed to sigh with relief, and their porcelain bodies crumbled into dust, as if finally finding peace. The workshop grew still, and the door creaked open, releasing me from its haunting grasp. As I stepped outside, I knew that the Dollmaker'S curse had been broken, and the souls of the lost children were finally free. From that day on, the House of Shadows remained empty, its haunting secrets locked away from the world. But the memory of that fateful night would forever linger in my mind. The night I faced up Dollmaker'S workshop and uncovered the chilling truth of its haunted past.